Um, uh, please, like and subscribe, follow. Ooh.
In the north of the mountains of Morn is the Ironskin tribe, a kingdom of ogres with unparalleled ties to the citadel of Zarnagrund. This tribe valued iron more than gold long before they began to trade with the Chaos Dwarfs, and typically wear black iron gut plates, have metal teeth, and mix iron filings into their war paint. It is a mark of status for an Ironskin ogre to cover himself with iron, rather than mere trinkets such as gold. After all, gold is soft and beautiful, a woman's metal, whereas iron is tough, strong, and ugly, like an ogre bull. The Ironskin tribe believes that where an ogre can gain much in trade from gold, a stout iron club can cut out all that confusing haggling and get straight to the good stuff. The Ironskin ogres are a fierce lot, known for their hard-hitting charges. The tribe's speciality is to launch massive avalanche-like attacks onto their foes, smashing into them in a single sweeping crush. During such assaults, they always seek to grab as many prisoners as they can, and then march them quickly home to their deep valley in the northwestern range of the Mountains of Morn. So prodigious and successful are these attacks that the Ironskin tribe has thus established strong ties to the citadel of Zarnagrund, whom they trade with to obtain their armor. With scores of lead belchers in their ranks, even the Ironskin bulls adorn themselves with as much metal as they can. But it is their tyrant, Ghark Ironskin, himself, who is responsible for the tribe's fearsome reputation. Having traded slaves for decades with his Chaos Dwarf allies, Ghark rides to war in a massive fitted suit of plate mail, with great curving horns, seated atop a hissing mechanical rhinox that some whisper is possessed of a demonic sentience. Ghark Ironskin is very unusual. He was smashed over the top of his head by his father for eating too loudly while still a whelp, and one of the nails of his father's iron-bound club broke off in Ghark's head where it rusts to this day. The longest serving of his Iron Gut bodyguard claimed that this may be the reason for Ghark's obsession with metal, a passion that has spread throughout his tribe. Ghark is famous in the ogre kingdoms for another reason. His tribe boasts a great number of Rhinox riders. The very first ogre to batter a bull Rhinox into submission was Ghark. He tamed his one-time steed Bladehorn with an iron stanchion. To this day, Ironskin bulls take pride in repeating the coming-of-age feat of their tyrant, though it is a closely guarded secret of the Ironskin clan that it is much easier to tame a wild Rhinox with iron than with wood. Ghark's obsession with metal is undoubtedly the foundation of this long-standing alliance with his neighbours, the Chaos Dwarfs of Zarnagrund. Ghark has provided the Chaos Dwarfs with many hundreds of nobler slaves over the years, and much of the gold that passes through his realm. This alliance proved invaluable when, after slaughtering his way through the majority of an army of Bretonnian knights errant, Ghark's Rhinox Bladehorn was spitted upon the lances of a unit of Grail knights. Ghark never forgave them, even after he had them for dinner later that day, and fragments of their armor still adorn Ghark's own plate mail. But it was the Chaos Dwarfs who were really responsible for Ghark's current infamy. They replaced their allies' Rhinox with a mechanical monstrosity of hissing pistons and rune-etched chains, a demon-fueled engine of destruction that obeys Ghark's every command, although he still bashes it over the head every now and again for old time's sake. None can doubt that Ghark Ironskin is amongst the mightiest of tyrants, riding his unstoppable steed at the head of an ironclad army of bulls and rhinox riders, the ground shaking at their tread. The origins of the famous IRONBLASTER cannon are comparatively recent, and make for a popular tale around the campfires of the ogre kingdoms. The Ironskin tribe, famous for their love of metal and the sheer number of cannon-toting madmen in their ranks, held a contest to see who could unleash the most destruction during the Great Nobler Purge of 2211 IC. Amongst their number was Bograt Sevenbellies, an ogre possessed of such physical strength as well as sheer girth, and an eye for an opportunity. He left the contest with a wild gleam in his eye, and began the long climb into the mountains, eventually reaching the tumble-down ruins that were once the majestic castles of the Sky Titans. Bograt remembered seeing something when, a few decades back, when he had a mere 3 bellies to his name, he had prowled the debris as a youth. Searching through the rubble, Bograt unearthed a massive bronze cylinder covered in elaborate friezes that depicted the war in the sky, like unto a lead-belcher gun, or one of the Thinling's cannons, but far larger. This was one of the castle-mounted guns the Sky Titans used towards the end of their war against the ogres all those years ago, and Bograt believed it was high time such weapons were put back into use. Taming a nearby rhinox with repeated blows of his club, Bograt strapped the immense cannon to his new pet, and sent it down the mountainside, sat astride the enormous bronze cylinder, content to let gravity do most of the work. Rather more quickly than he anticipated, Bograt returned to his tribe, covered in glory and bruises, the bronze cannon intact. It did not take long for the tribe to catch on to what Bograt had in mind. The tribe pooled all its remaining black powder, and priming the great cannon, loaded cannonball after cannonball into its cavernous maw until it was full to the brim. The enormous gun, which by now had been mounted on a ramshackle chassis and probably secured to the captive rhinoc, was taken to the main entrance of the Nobler tunnel town and wedged into the passageway's mouth. Bograt was given the honor of setting light to the fuse. Within one blinding, deafening second, the Nobler infestation was no more. The shower of green limbs that erupted from dozens of hidden bolt holes provided much amusement, and formed a deliciously smoky appetizer for the Ironskin tribe before they headed back for a proper celebration. Pleased to get rid of the Nobblers, even if it was only for a little while before new ones crept in, the tyrant allowed Bograt to sit beside him during his feast. Since that famous day, many ogres from the Ironskin tribe have climbed high into the mountains of the ancient giant lands in order to secure more of the Sky Titans' old artillery. It didn't take long for the IRONBLASTER to be seen and coveted by the other tyrants of the ogre kingdoms. Now many tribes can boast of several IRONBLASTERs, the great weapon wagons usually being crewed by the largest and richest lead-belcher in each tribe. When deployed in battle, the IRONBLASTER is hauled into a good shooting position before blasting out a fiery tongue of flame and thunderous boom. The multiple cannonballs are able to tear apart a whole regiment in a maelstrom of noise and violence, especially should the IRONBLASTER get in close. The advantage of getting close is that, with the right encouragement and a few stiff prods, the rhinox can strain enough to really get the IRONBLASTER wagon moving quickly. Something that large with so much momentum can really pack a wallop when it hits. If the sheer impact doesn't smash the foe, perhaps the ogre's blows or the gouging horns of the rhinox can finish the job. When things go wrong for an Ironblaster, however, they go very badly indeed. It can be safely said that the ogres do not make the canniest of artillerymen, overloading, underloading, touching flame to the spark hole too soon, or just plain joyriding, too enthralled with the opportunity to ride in a pulled wagon and fire the largest cannon imaginable. Still, the giant cannons were forged to last, so even after the most horrific of accidents, it is never long before a new chassis is constructed, a new lead-belcher found to crew the mighty gun, and the cycle of violence begun anew.